Hey, welcome to the Unicorn's Guide to Marketing. I'm going to break down the guide for you today. This is for people who need to deal with marketing, but they want a guide because maybe it's not your regular job. You're not a marketer. You just have a dream and a passion or whatever it is, and you need to bring it. You need to do marketing, and you want to know, what the heck am I doing? I built this because I was getting really frustrated seeing business owners or people wanting to start a business or people in a business, and they literally just didn't know what to do next, and they didn't know how to make decisions. And really what was missing was a lot of the foundational work in marketing. So they were missing a lot of stuff that would come out of their brand, or, you know, they'd want a website, but they wouldn't quite understand what the things that they needed were. And so it ended up making projects a lot longer than it needed to be. It ended up, I would see people do stuff like go hire somebody to make them a logo for $50. And it was just like this terrible logo. And that's what they were using. And they didn't realize that their logo should be a certain way for a certain reason, right? So this is for people who need to deal with marketing, but you want a high level guide. Okay. This is high level. All right. So I'm not going to show you like how to build a funnel or something, or like how to, craft your ad on Meta. This is like the lay of the land, what we're doing here. So join me, won't you? All right, let's go. Okay. It's a big picture or overview. All right. I think I already said that. It helps you work through the pieces of a marketing plan so you don't have to guess. It's for anyone who needs to DIY on a budget, hire and work with a marketer, use it to create a plan or troubleshoot your current marketing. Okay. Because they all kind of build on each other. If you're having a problem in a certain area, this highlights like where you can go back and troubleshoot that and maybe fix along the road, along the journey. So you absolutely do not need to have this all figured out to make money. This is a framework to reference as you grow. Okay. So there's things on this that I can't achieve because I don't have the resources at the moment. And that's okay. We just do what we can, where we can. We do the best we can. Don't ever let any of this stop you from selling and moving forward. Always sell. Don't be like, oh, I don't have a website, so I can't sell. That's baloney. I ran my business for like 4 months, maybe almost 6, without a website. And I was a web designer. That's ballsy. Wait, that's such a gendered term. It's not. Yes, I don't know. That took some ovaries. All right. A good marketing plan should do 1, 2, 3 things. Are you ready for this? Okay. It needs to attract clients. Folks need to be drawn to the business or the products before they purchase. Okay, so attracting clients means they think of the products as something they want or need. Needs to generate revenue. Yeah, okay. People want to connect with businesses online. It's statistically, research after research shows that people are going online to find businesses, to find things in their area. Even if it's like restaurant in my area, like you could people aren't walking down the block anymore to find a restaurant. They're like opening up their phone and you know what I mean? So, but generating revenue doesn't mean there has to be an online store. It means that you capture the attention, that you're there online, and that you capture the attention gained online in a way that helps increase revenue for the business, right? So like back to that restaurants in my area, that restaurant better make sure they have a Google business page because that's what's going to be showing on the somebody's maps, right? A marketing plan needs to be visible. So folks have to know about the business and the products continually, right? They have to be reminded all the time. Visibility is about showing up and interacting in digital spaces to connect with customers and grow the business. Okay. So being visible, you gotta get out there. So why all 3 work together to attract clients, generate revenue, and be visible? Well, if you're missing visibility, not enough people know about it, right? You need more people to know about it to make more sales, to increase. If you don't have that attracting clients, nobody likes it. So you could be as visible, you could be running ads, you could be having a fancy website, but really it doesn't really speak to anybody. Nobody's buying. And then if you have no digital spaces where you can be capturing that online attention, really you're missing revenue. There's no way to grow the business. So maybe there's it's got some kind of cool vibe or something like that, and maybe it's online, but there's no like clear way to like funnel that into growth for the business. Luckily, there are 3 marketing disciplines that attract clients, generate revenue, and gain visibility. They are the brand. We'll go into all these in a minute too, so don't fret if you're like, what does she mean by website? And the online presence. Those are the 3 elements. So we're gonna dive on in. Bloop. The brand. This is to attract clients. So a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for consumers' decision to choose one product or service or another. This is from Seth Godin, marketing guru. Now, Mr. Godin does not endorse or approve this message or presentation. It's just a good quote, and so it's a good definition. So I'm putting it up there. Props to Mr. Godin. If you see this and you don't want to be associated, please let me know. I will immediately remove you, sir. But thank you for such a good definition. So the elements that join to create the expectations, memory, stories, and relationships are things like what the company does, how it does it, how folks feel about it. It's the visual aspects like a logo, your brand colors, the photos, even like your, profile photos, those kinds of things. It's the communications, everything and anything from your website copy to your digital ads, sales talking points, like your email newsletters, everything really that's being communicated from the company. The people in internal processes, like the policies, the culture, the systems, and the procedures, all that is part of the brand. Even your return policy, your cancellation policy, that all speaks to the expectations and relationships that you're building within your brand. So the brand is made up of 3 pieces. First, we've got the persona. Every organization is an entity with a personality, beliefs, and ideals. They become guides when creating anything from new products to ad campaigns to making decisions and day-to-day operations. Developing a persona makes attracting clients more effective and consistent, which helps with recognition and subliminal influence. Now, the persona, if your brand is you, the persona could very well be very anchored within you. But if it's not, if it's something that you plan on, if it's a business that you plan on hiring for, like it's one of those things where other people can do this. Like I don't have to be the face. It's not people are buying me as the brand or interacting with me as the brand. I would encourage you to think about what kind of personality is your brand? Like how is it that people are recognizing this entity in the marketplace through the consistency of how it shows up? So from the persona, we build this with the essence. Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to move this down, please. Okay, let's try to go back here. Perfect. Okay, so the essence of what the business does, why they do it, and how it makes people feel. It's the basic stuff like the industry, the business type or niche. It's the characteristics of the organization. Like, is it friendly and approachable? Is it very professional and luxurious? Like, what are those sort of kind of general characteristics? It's the vibe and the attitudes of the company culture as well. Again, like, are they kind of irreverent in how the formality of their language, or is there, do they have to speak in a certain way because of regulations or something like that? I think of like a registered massage therapist or a psychotherapist. They're highly regulated, and so they're only able to do and say certain things within certain boundaries, right? So what are those things? What are the essence of that? And what people think about the products and the business, that's essentially the essence as well. So the essence is you don't have to spend a huge amount of time here, but even just really having a think about like, what is it that we do and why do we do it? That's kind of the essence of the business at the foundational level. Beliefs are the values and ambitions that build the foundation and boundaries of an organization. Okay, so this is the basic stuff like core values, vision, mission statement. It's the operational stuff like the policies and the procedures. I mentioned before, like a cancellation policy, return policy. This comes out of the beliefs. It could even be the social causes the organization supports. Sometimes in the news cycle, some things pop up socially. And having a sense or an idea of like, as a brand, what do we stand up for? What do we speak to? What do we support? Those kinds of things and conversations can help guide communications throughout the cycle of your business. And celebrations like holidays and milestones. Again, going back to, I find so many businesses are reactive when it comes to celebration rather than planned. So, Halloween will come around and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, do we say Happy Halloween? I don't know. What should we do?" Versus knowing, okay, yeah, Halloween is totally our brand's jam. Like we love Halloween. We do all the get up for it, blah, 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 blah. Right. So it's just having a think about what are these celebrations throughout the year that are important to us? How do we, and then recognizing too, because this happens a lot too. If there's a celebration that is outside your own personal celebration that you would do, like maybe Diwali or something like that, I don't celebrate that. It's not part of my culture, but I'm hyper aware of it, right? Because it happens all around me. I live in Toronto. So, just understanding, like, is that something that the company is going to also celebrate? Is that something that's important to us? And are we kind of missing the boat by not saying something about it? Is that something that's important to our audience, to our clients? Beliefs are really helpful because they can be an inspiration in difficult times, for sure. Having a vision or a mission statement, they can give you and your team a principle or ideal to fall back on when making decisions or creating new products and policies. For sure, like your core values, a lot of times when you're making decisions or you're trying to build something new and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, do we this, do we that, and we're not sure what to choose. Go back to your core values. A lot of times your core values are going to give you like a guiding light to follow. Or go back to your vision, go back to your mission statement. Does this thing fulfill your mission? Is it meeting your values? Those kinds of things, and they inform interactions and communications by providing guidelines that uphold company standards. So again, within beliefs, you could have communication guidelines and things like that. So they kind of help when things are going wrong. They can help make a good foundation. I want to say something else about beliefs, which is you can totally run a business without beliefs. You absolutely can. And by all means, please sell, do your thing, right? But beliefs just are helpful when you do need them, when they do come around. So at some point you're running your business and you're feeling like, oh, this is feeling like kind of a slog, or like we're not really getting the juice out of it that we want. Maybe come back to beliefs and see what you're doing there. All right, the appearance. So this is the style and the visual assets that define how the brand looks and feels. All right, so this is like your logo, your brand colors, your website fonts, your stock photos or videos, the graphic styles, the visual brand guides. The thing about this is remembering that there are images that are kind of baked into language. So they have metaphor and meaning, right? And sometimes, and across different cultures, things like colors or shapes or symbols are going to have different meanings. And so really just kind of I never want to tell you something and to make you go to scare you, but just saying, just have a think of what is this image that I'm producing and what is it kind of saying and what could it be misinterpreted as? There's a good word, misinterpretation. What could this be misinterpreted as? I saw a logo. It's from a company. They do courses, like an app. You can create a course and it has its own app. That's their model. And they have a logo and it's supposed to be a P, but to me it looks so phallic. I look at it and I just go, How come nobody said anything? How could nobody have said anything in a meeting and gone, excuse me, this kind of looks like a... So, thinking that, I'll give you another example. When I used to work for an international company, and we had to design a billboard in an African country. And I know that's so vague because Africa's so big. I apologize for being vague, where it would have been on one of the coasts. Anyway, it's not much helpful. But what we were told was to put it on a yellow background and to use a lot of red, because apparently yellow and red were like exciting, yay colors. Whereas in North America, for the same type of event, we would have done like blues and greens. And so it was a completely different color palette, because the colors that we would use in North America had a different message and a meaning than the colors that we would have used in this other place where the culture was different, and so the meanings were different. So just knowing that, and being consistent, because the consistency of your appearance is what's going to have a subliminal influence on people. Because as they're scrolling, they're going to get your content. They might just scroll right by, but you've put that little deposit in their brain, right? Same with like a digital ad. Let's say you're running digital ads. They're not really consciously absorbing that, but subconsciously they are. And so you're picking it up with that consistency. So with appearance, you want to be thinking about what are the metaphors, what's the hidden message that we're giving, what's some of the misinterpretations that could be happening, and then you want to make sure that you're being consistent. That does not mean that you can't ever change. It's just when you are working with it, like work with that and use those. Don't go nuts with a bunch of different appearance types, or not having settled on one. All right, so the talent. Every business creates and delivers something in its own unique way. The talent is what the business does and how they do it. This is a pretty simple one. It's pretty straightforward, y'all. This is like, if I could move forward here. Okay, so the offer is the practical piece of selling products or services, like what it is and the price, right? That's practical. So how much it costs, where you get it, when it can be delivered, the sales and coupons, do you celebrate, do you do Black Friday? Those kinds of things would come in the offer. So it's such a basic element. I would say, like, if you had nothing else, you have to have an offer. You got to have something that what is it and how much? That's business. The appeal is what sets your business or product apart from the competition and why it's desirable. Okay, so it's stuff like your value proposition, it's the features and the benefits. To get to the appeal, you're going to look at things, you're going to do like competition analysis, you might do a SWOT analysis, you might get consumer feedback, you might do market studies, those kinds of things. So it's really like unpacking what, like, I think in the past it would be called like a USP, your unique selling proposition or whatever. Like, what is it? What's so great about this thing that you've got? So the appeal shows the customers what the product or service does for them and why they should want it. It can really help build marketing materials, social media content, and sales talking points as well. Proof. People need to know, like, and trust something before they buy. So proof demonstrates know, like, and trust by showing that other people know, like, and trust this thing. Okay, so examples are testimonials, reviews, awards or recognition, right? Accreditations or certifications, if that's part of your industry. As seen in are great, especially for products. Endorsements, I think celebrity endorsements. I saw there's this tank top that keeps coming up in my feed, and it's like Kelly Ripa's #1 favorite tank top. Like, I don't give a hoot about Kelly Ripa, but this is an endorsement. They're betting that I'm of a certain age and a certain demographic that I'm going to go, yay, Kelly Ripa loves this shirt. Oh, I love it too. So that's an endorsement. I get another one with a jumpsuit. Kim Kardashian loves this jumpsuit. Okay. Those are endorsements. Case studies, before and afters. Before and afters, huge for like makeovers, especially like your home or your body or whatever. before and after. So depending on your industry type, you're going to have different types of proof. But numerous studies show that proof is paramount in a consumer's decision to buy, and it increases sales. One study even showed using testimonials regularly increased or generated 62% more revenue. So like that alone, y'all, get some proof. Stories is the next little section. So we did persona, we did talent. Now we're in the stories. Stories captivate attention, and give deeper meaning by using pre-existing narratives embedded in people's minds. All right. They're more relatable and memorable, and they reach people on an emotional level, which drives consumer behavior. So humans tend to store. Stories here is also kind of a bit of a metaphor, right? Because you're not going to turn every single little tiny thing that your company does into a story. But you probably will want to do for a lot of it. But it's also like humans tend to storify what they hear and see, because we attach meaning and personalize what we interact with. So in some ways, kind of everything becomes a story to somebody, right? They're going to tell themselves a story. So stories as a category here is about turning messages into story form where possible, and remembering that people will tell themselves stories about what the company creates and communicates. All right. So I don't want to like scare people, but it just, just you realize that you're creating a story when you market. Oh, I gotta click again. So within story, you have characters. Understanding the roles of people around your brand and your role to them creates better products, processes, and marketing materials. So characters is about researching things like target market and competition analysis, but to better understand your customers and place in the market. Now, characters, again, a bit of a metaphor. You're thinking of all of the people who are interacting in your business and how they help to build the business and what your business does for them and what they do for you, kind of. So the characters consider your customers, your competitors, your vendors, your team members, regulatory bodies, all those kinds of things, right? A huge one that you're going to spend a lot of time with is the customers. Probably a little bit of time with the competitors too, especially as you're looking at you're building your offer and your appeal, you're going to be looking at those competitors for sure. And when you really deeply understand how your role in your customer's story, like in their, as in like quote unquote their lives, or whatever task that your product or service helps with, the better you're able to craft those products and those services, but also the better you're able to explain them and to show how they would be beneficial in this person's life, right? Because you really understand them as a person, and you understand how your product or your service impacts and affects them. And so that allows you to then tell those stories to other people so that they can go, oh, okay, this can help me too, right? But all that to say, anyway, characters is a building block for so many other elements in the guide. Knowing foundational info from characters like customer demographics informs so many choices throughout marketing and business operations. So I talked about the offer being like one of the things you're gonna have to do no matter what. Characters is also a fundamental foundational piece that helps you do the rest a lot better, because you know who you're creating these things for. So every story has a message, right? So communications and stories carry a message that has an underlying point or purpose to convey something of meaning. So when creating stories or any communication and marketing materials, you're going to ask yourself what message is being shared, and you're going to try to remove the fluff so your intended message is delivered clear and simple. All right. I cannot tell you how many times I've received like website copy from somebody and there's no message. Like they'll have like statement, another statement, another statement. You know, it'd be like, we inspire progress. Like, the fuck does that mean? We inspire progress. We build great teams. I don't know, maybe those are okay, but but I often find it like just really like disconnected, really disjointed. And so then you kind of say like, well, what are you trying to say here? I don't know. All right. So, or sometimes they'll send a message, they'll send like an email and there's like 3 different things in it, you know, and you're asking the person to do 3 different things and you're talking about 3 different things. And, you know, so just make things really, really super simple. What's the message that you're trying to say? And keep going back to that. What's the message we're trying to say? What are we trying to say here? So core messages need to be shared repeatedly in different ways to reach folks online. All right. So let's say you have a few core messages that you want to share within your stories, within your marketing. You're going to have to repeat those over and over and over again in different ways, especially on social media. So I saw there was one, I had one, she was a friend actually, and she had just launched a new product, and she did one social media post, and she said to me, oh, it's just not getting the traction that I was hoping for. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, let me go check it out. And I check it out, and there was one post about it. And I thought, girl, you need to do more than one post. Like, more than likely, only less than 1% of your audience saw that one post. Of course it didn't do anything. You're going to have to repeat that message, honey. So you're going to have to repeat the messages in different various formats, different wording and visuals to solidify your point in the minds of others. Okay. And once you start following social media accounts of social media content creators who teach you how to do social media and stuff like that, you will see that they just repeat the same stuff over and over and over again. Different format, maybe different wording, but really they're just saying the same things over and over again. So, and you can do the same with your business and marketing. So the hook is the one message that gets repeated over and over to convey what the business does. It's what becomes familiar to people. Okay. So some examples are like a tagline, a slogan, an elevator pitch, a jingle, a statement, imagery. My favorite one is RuPaul, because RuPaul has been saying this since the 80s, honey. I'm sure I have seen video of RuPaul in the 80s saying this. It's, if you ain't gonna love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Or if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? And I love it. It's beautiful. They've been saying it for over 30 years now. And over 40 years? They've been saying it for like 40 years. And that's it. That's the hook, right? That's what RuPaul's all about. Love yourself, love other people. All right. Not every business needs a catchy slogan or tagline. So don't take this and go like, oh, shoot, we need a tagline. No. There are aspects of the messaging and visuals that will be reused often in descriptions and communications to enforce recognition and clarify what the business or product does. So it could even just be like a statement, like we help XYZ do ABC so they can 1, 2, 3. You know, that's a statement. And then that you could take there. It could be just that there are pieces that you want to repeat for in your descriptions for the purpose of search engine optimization. Like, who knows, right? So just understanding what those are, like what are we going to kind of carry with us across the landscape that is online and the real world, and what are those things we want to make sure, or what's that thing we want to make sure that we repeat so people know who we are and what we do. Oh, I'll give you an example of a good hook that I heard recently. It replaces 17 rolls of paper towels, and it's like this. It's a reusable, towel, I guess, made of some material that's like spongy or something. And so instead of using paper towels, you can use this thing. And so their tagline or slogan is, it replaces 17 rolls of paper towels. And I saw like I guess it was like a Kickstarter or something. I don't know what it was, but I was watching their video and I noticed they start with that and they say it many times throughout. So it was very clearly their hook. But I will say as well, there's a hidden story in that, right? Because when they say it replaces 17 rolls of paper towels, the story is 17 rolls of paper towels, because the person hearing that now imagines 17 rolls that, you know, you're wrangling that big old Costco roll. That Costco thing of paper towels is 12. And, you know, you're trying to get it into your, it takes up so much space in your cart. It takes up so much space in the car or on the way, you know, on the bus on the way home, you know, whatever it is, like 17 rolls has a whole story. Then you get home, you got to store all that, you know, all that forestry, deforestation, all those trees that cut down to make those paper towels. There are many stories behind 17 rolls of paper towel. And so as a tagline, as a slogan, it's great. It fulfills all the things. It gives you the message. It understands the characters, which is that person who's just sick of buying paper towels. And it's their hook. It's the thing they keep saying. So a brand is about attracting people by intentionally crafting experiences, stories, and relationships they want to be part of. And it's creating a vibe and experiences that attract the right people. So get clear on the details of the business and the product and breathe life into your marketing with story. That's how you're going to brand. All right, next we've got the website. Woo woo. This is to generate revenue. Now, the definition of a website is a collection of publicly accessible interlinked web pages that share a single domain name. But don't take that definition too literally for this category. A business could have several websites or no website at all, no like .com website at all. So really what's meant here is manage digital spaces that support business objectives like generating leads or sales, sharing info, building awareness, and relationships. Okay, so these are just spaces that as a business you've set up, like you own, you've set them up, you've created them, and they are purposely generating leads or sharing info or building awareness and relationships. Okay. So here are some elements that join to create digital spaces that generate revenue. So creating web pages and links for folks to follow and connect with your business. You know, that could be anything. That could be like a course platform or a community platform, or that could just be like a regular website or whatever it is. Maintaining secure spaces that are fast and easy to navigate. Crafting digital experiences folks want to interact with and tell others about. And writing copy that speaks to your audience and leads them to take desired action. Those are all the kind of things that go into it, but let's break them down. So first off, we've got in the 3 pieces that go into website, we've got journeys. These are the steps people take from hearing about your business to becoming a client and beyond. So journeys can be a mix of automated digital actions and human touch points. And my example here is somebody might sign up for a free consultation through a booking app, like they pick their little time and whatever, and they put in their email and it sends them an invite with a link for Zoom or something. But then when they go to the thing, there's an actual person from the business who shows up from the consultation. So there could be a hands-on aspect of your journey, or it could all be automated. But thinking through journeys is about crafting ways to capture online attention and grow your business. So you're kind of, for example, like if you have a blog and you're putting articles on your blog, that's great. Keep doing that. But when somebody's on your blog, how are you turning that person into a customer? How are you turning them into a lead? How are you getting them to like come back again? Like, you know, so thinking through that aspect of it so that you can make sure that you're kind of funneling people to the places you need them to go. So the first part in the pathways are the journeys. So the pathways are the digital spaces you create and the actions someone's go through to get to where you want them to go. So when they're one of the first things to think about when you're crafting a website. So an example of a pathway might be a landing page for a product that has a buy now button. When somebody clicks the buy now button, the product is added to the cart and they are automatically redirected to the checkout. On the checkout, there's a form. They fill in the form. They hit the submit button. That button is going to process the payment and send them an invoice. So that's an example of a pathway. So I'm kind of thinking through all the little steps. Okay, there's a landing page with a product on it. There's a button to buy. When the button's buy, there's a cart. There's a payment gateway. So those are all the kind of things, all the little steps in this pathway. So some examples of steps would be pages with info to read or a video to watch, buttons to click, forms to fill out. Pathways should have a purpose or a goal with a beginning and an end with clear steps along the way, right? So compelling content, going to a call to action. So compelling content is the writing, designing, and delivering content in a way that captures attention and causes people to have the intended reaction. So by content, I mean like a post, like an article. That's content. It's got images, words, what have you. A call to action is a clear indication of what the person should do next. So the compelling content should lead to a relevant call to action that makes sense in the flow of the message and purpose of the content. Again, I cannot stress how many times I've seen people do something like make a page and then they either have no call to action or the call to action does not make sense for what they've written on the page. Now, not all content is going to need an obvious call to action. Sometimes the intended reaction is simply to be aware or to have an emotional effect without further interaction needed. Okay, so an example of that might be like a privacy policy page. Your privacy policy page, it's just there. It's informational. It's there if you need it, if you want it. There really is no intention for after that. So it's just there as information and there's no call to action, and that's fine. So a call to action examples: a buy now button, sign up for notifications, a free consultation, share this post, reply to this email, like and subscribe, follow for more. So you always want to be thinking about, what do I want them to be doing next? And finally, within our journeys, we have barriers. So barriers are elements that slow or stop someone from getting to the next step in the pathway. They can be obvious or subtle, or something that's not an issue for everyone, but you might see results if it was improved. Okay, so some examples: too many purchase options or upsells during checkout might overwhelm some buyers. I do know actually sometimes they do that as a trick, because buyers then think, oh, I have to add it, and then they do add it. And so anyway, so it could work. Slows page speed or technical errors on the page that prevents a sale. I think it was Walmart that increased their site speed by 1 second, and they saw a 1% increase in sales after that. And so, a 1% increase at Walmart is huge. That's huge money. And so I don't want to pretend like, well, I'll get to that in a second. So that like 1 second of page speed doesn't really sound like a lot. And certainly it didn't stop a lot of people from buying, but just that 1% bump, made them tons of money. So sometimes it can be something that's subtle. It's maybe not even a big deal, but you make that one little change and wow, just cranks right up. So some more examples: a spammy looking checkout form or unfamiliar payment processor that seems suspicious to cyber conscious buyers. I know that has definitely stopped me before. I have not purchased from some, or especially with a donation. I'm very distracted by my hair. I was once, somebody had wanted a donation for, I think it was for a food bank or something. But I went to go to the checkout and it was very spammy. It was like my cyber, antennas were up. I was like, this does not look like a safe place to be. So I didn't donate. And maybe it was all legit, but you know what? They had a very spammy looking checkout and I didn't recognize their payment processor. And so I wasn't going to fork my credit card over. Sorry, not sorry. And so that was a barrier for them. Unprofessional images that make the overall quality look bad. These are just examples. So ideally, you want to think through possible barriers when setting up your journeys, but you'll want to occasionally test and get feedback to make sure your systems are as smooth as possible. And by test, I mean like go make a purchase. If you have a purchase or something, go make a purchase. If you have sign up for a newsletter, go sign up for your newsletter. If you have a contact us form, fill out the contact us form. Like make sure it works. But don't let the dread of unknown barriers or barriers you can't fix right now stop you. Okay. It's simply here to remind you to make improvements where you can, when you can. Let me tell you, I have barriers on my website right now that I full ass know about, and I can't fix them. I don't have the resources right now to fix them. Too bad, so sad. They're there. I'm aware of them, and maybe one day we'll get to them. But I'm not sweating them in the sense that like, oh no, I can't sell because I have this one little stupid thing. Who cares? Pedal to the metal. Let's go. Sell, sell, sell. Leave your barriers there and do the best you can. All right. Happy folks. When you're creating digital spaces, remember, it's a human being. It's the one who must navigate through them with the sport of ever evolving technologies. All right. So understanding how people experience the journeys you've created allows you to make improvements to the process so that more people take the actions you want them to take, which should lead to more revenue. More people, more revenue, right? Sugar lips. So experience. The user experience is the feeling one gets from navigating and using digital spaces. You've probably heard this term before if you were going to go build a website or what have you. It's how people interact and navigate through your web pages can be monitored so that data can reveal how people use the website and journeys you've created so you can make improvements. Or you could see where maybe some pitfalls are. So creating a good experience means people are more likely to move through the actions you want them to take to reach your goals. Providing good experience also means they're more likely to recommend the business or products to others and is good for things like SEO, search engine optimization. Goals. Goals are the performance indicators that monitor the success of your website and marketing efforts so you know if your marketing is on track. Again, so many people don't even think about whether their website is performing well. And so I'll ask them for some data and they're like, what data? Like, come on. How do you know if your website's working if you're not monitoring some performance indicators? So some goal examples are like the number of website visitors, number of purchases made, email newsletter signups. All those things can be part of your goals or part of your performance indicators of your website for sure. So your goals really depend on the type of business you have and your priorities. But most business should at least be looking at how many people are visiting the website and how many of those are purchasing or becoming leads, if applicable. So please at least know how much traffic you're getting to your website at the minimum, because otherwise you don't know if it's working. How do you know if it's working? Feedback. Feedback is hearing from people you're serving to better meet their needs. Getting feedback on the digital experience helps you approach your systems with a fresh perspective to improve the outcomes and meet your goals. So ways you can get feedback: surveys, focus groups, one-on-one conversations, professional consultation, getting somebody who's a professional to look at your thing and give some constructive feedback. Sometimes we definitely don't notice areas that can be improved or issues along the journeys we've built. So getting feedback on your website or any aspect of your marketing will allow you to find areas of improvement and spur new ideas for growth. One really good feedback question is, how likely are you to recommend this to a friend? There you go. That's like the number one feedback question that's asked. Apparently that gives you lots of insight as to how well you're doing. Healthy habits. Digital spaces are a mix of evolving technologies and human interactions, right? Healthy habits is about choosing the right systems for your needs and keeping them secured and updated where applicable. Maintaining and improving systems keeps them optimized for digital interactions, as well as the human experience for overall safety, accessibility, and ease of use. All right, so the structure. The structure refers to the systems and platforms used to build the websites and digital spaces you'll set up. Choosing the right structures for a business or a campaign is based on budget and needs. It's kind of a combo of both, right? Because you could have a lot of needs, but a small budget. You're going to have to decide what's going to mess and match. messing with. It's also a reminder to keep track of login details. People, please, for the love of all things, like somebody at your organization needs to know who's the host provider for the website. How do you log into the website? Like which social media channels are yours? Like somebody should be organized and have that stuff. Again, I can't tell you how many business owners I'm like, where's your website host? And they're like, I don't know. So here's some examples of the structure. So a website using WordPress. So WordPress would be the structure. It's a content management system. And me saying WordPress obviously opens up a whole other can of worms, because WordPress, it's written in PHP with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. And, so there's like a whole can of worms just in saying WordPress is a whole structure behind that. There's some other examples there. So structure is different than pathways, because you might say, wait, this sounds a little bit like pathways a little bit. But pathways can be built in multiple ways. Okay. So for example, let's say I want a course. I want to do a course. I want to do videos and a PDF, and I want to do, I want everybody to be able to chat with the instructor. That's the pathway that I'm building. So now I go and I say, okay, I've got all the stuff. Now I go to look for the structure. What's going to fulfill all these needs for me? How is this going to be built? And that structure. So for a course, I could go to, like a Kajabi or a Thinkific, or I could build it on a WordPress website. So that's kind of things. So a sales funnel, for example, can be built on WordPress, Squarespace, or there's a platform specific to funnels like ClickFunnels. Structure is about planning your pathways and goals first, then choosing the systems and platforms that will best meet your needs and budget. And I say needs because, it's also skill level too, right? So if you want to maybe if you're DIYing and you don't have the time to develop the skills to do something like a WordPress, then maybe you want to do something like a Thinkific, which is a lot easier and turnkey for course management. So thinking about your needs as well. Vitals. Okay, so website health and security are paramount. You don't want to get cyber secure. You don't want to get your data stolen. Vitals monitors factors that impact user experience and optimization, like technical performance and cybersecurity. So many digital platforms that businesses use today are self-contained systems that you don't make structural changes to, okay? Aside from adding your own text and images. So it's not like a ton that you need to do for like updates and upkeep for most sites, unless you have like a WordPress site. You need to maintain that. You need to update your your theme, your plugins, the core of WordPress and stuff like that. There's lots of systems and platforms where you don't need to do any of that. But, understand, okay, what do I have to do maintenance wise? But then also doing your due diligence and checking that everything's working efficiently, and change platforms if you're using one that isn't optimized and secure enough for your business, right? Not all of these software, SaaS products on the market these days are made well. A lot of these companies are taught, go to market before you're ready. Go to market with holes in your thing, and so don't be afraid. If you've got like if you're on some cheap platform and it sucks, maybe you need to bounce off, right? So regardless if you're using a pre-built system or a custom one, you'll want to focus on maintaining security by using your unique passwords, changing them often, and not sharing login details with anyone. Okay. So even if you're using like a self-contained platform system, you don't have any maintenance that you need to do. You don't have any optimization you need to do. You are at least keeping it secure by making sure that you're using strong passwords, strong unique passwords, and you're not sharing those with anybody. Okay. Dynamic. A dynamic website is one that changes with updates and maintenance as often as needed for the type of business and marketing strategy. All right. So changes can include the content, like adding current information, updating images, or creating a new post or page. as well as system and security updates where applicable. Okay, so again, like back to that WordPress example, you need to be updating your theme, your plugins, your core, your PHP version, like all those kinds of things, right? So those are some of the maintenance stuff that you're doing. But regardless of what type of business you want to be doing some kind of updates to your website, because regular content updates gives folks a reason to come back to the website, and it signals to search engines that the website is active and current, right? Because if you're a business and you've done your website and you did it like 5 years ago and you haven't touched it since, how is a search engine like Google supposed to know that you're still in business? Because all they see is a website that was set up 5 years ago and not touched since. So they're going to think, well, nobody's there. Nobody's even logged in 5 years, right? Like, how could they be an active business if they're not even staying current at all? So that doesn't mean that you have to be creating blog posts if that's not your vibe. You know, obviously, if you're like a publisher, let's say, you're going to be posting content daily, maybe even hourly. But if you're maybe like a family lawyer or something, you know, you don't need to be pumping out content. You don't need to be doing blog posts every day, every week. But could you maybe do one once a month, or could you maybe do one once a quarter or something, just to keep it fresh, give people a reason to come back and check out your site? So anyway, not all structures will require system updates, since many platforms are automatically maintained for you, but it's important to know what types of maintenance or updates might be required for the digital spaces you use to stay current and secure. All right, so a website allows businesses to connect with the online world, to share information, interact with folks, and generate revenue. So how to create a website. You're going to design and optimize ways for people to flow towards your business and products. Flow! Ensure the digital spaces you create provide a good experience and meet your business goals. Maintain a healthy environment that's secure and updated as needed. Next, we have online presence. You want to be visible. So online presence is anywhere the business is active or mentioned online, including websites, social networks, and ads. Online presence is all the content, connections, and interactions that become a network of influence for an organization. Ooh, network of influence. I love that. Good influence or bad influence, you decide. Elements that join to create an online presence that gains visibility is consistent and intentional action to reach communities online. Yes, yes, yes. Building relationships with real people to grow your network and impact. Yes, yes. Follow a strategy. Oh, I've got a spelling here. Follow a strategy and be nimble with shifting digital landscapes. Let me fix that right here. I can fix that on the spot. And yeah, baby. Look at us. And monitor your progress and actively looking for opportunities to grow. All good. All right, so within online presence, we've got those 3 sections again, starting with community action. Your business serves a community of people who are online. Community action is the reason for and method of showing up in any digital space and the impact your content and conversations have. So your strategy is the things you want to achieve with your marketing, including the high-level focus, initiative, and overall goals. So your strategy includes long-term objectives as well as short-term campaigns for specific products, events, and growth spurts. So even in doing this video, let's say, I would have a strategy specific for sharing this piece of content. And then aside from that, I have an overall larger strategy for my brand. So the short-term strategy would be for this one video, but the long-term strategy would be for my brand overall. So strategy is like a destination with milestones along the way. The method, which is going to be the next element, is how you get to that destination. All right. So strategy is a little bit more solid and grounded, and it could include like high level initiatives, but it doesn't include like the nitty gritties. For example, it's not like we're going to post content on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. That's not a strategy. Strategy is we want to reach we want to reach moms over breakfast. That would be like the strategy, right? Like our strategy is to reach moms while they're eating breakfast. And then the method is going to be, how are we going to do that? How are we going to reach them while they're eating breakfast? So strategy is built from elements of the brand section, including the characters element, to best understand the people you need to reach. Method. These are the tactics and actions that achieve the goals of your strategy. So methods are flexible because tactics that work on the digital landscape change often, and there's no one surefire way of reaching everyone online. All right. So they'll change as the business grows and gains more resources and a wider audience. A good way to find current methods is follow reputable people on social media who share tips, right? Try things that make sense for your business and repeat what works well. And diversify your methods so you're not stuck when one thing stops flowing, all right? So many people they get kicked off a social media platform and they're like, that was it. That was all my eggs were in that basket. So make sure you diversify your methods. Impact is setting goals that help meet the strategy's objectives and monitoring the progress towards them. Again, so many people, much like goals in websites, so many people don't look at impact, or they look at impact from a sad place, right? So they attach meaning to it. Don't attach meaning to your impact. It's just information, all right? So take the information, use the information, but don't feel bad about it, okay? So some examples are your video watch time, your number of followers, your click-through rate, shares, unsubscribes, etc. Like whatever makes sense for what you're producing in the context that you're producing it would be some of you want to look at some key performance indicators. So monitoring impact shows whether the methods are working to achieve your business objectives. If the results are lower than industry average, like consistently, consider changing the methods. If you find something has high impact, consider doing more of that. If you're not monitoring impact to meet your goals, you're at risk of wasting time creating content and marketing materials that aren't growing the business. Okay. So again, I see people, they put stuff out there, and when you ask them about how it's been going for them, they don't actually know how it's been going. Show me the data. Like right now, all you're telling me is you get a lot of interactions. I don't know what that means, right? So data, or it didn't happen. Show me the data. Visibility. Catalyst is a big part of online presence. So it's not just the action that you're taking. You're going to do some catalyst stuff here. These are explosives. I don't know why I did that. I was trying more to do fireworks. I don't know why it came out Okay. So these are the digital channels and outreach actions that will propel the business towards a better online presence and more visibility. All right. So the channels refers to the platforms and media types that make sense to participate in to meet the strategy objectives. For example, what social media chat networks should we be active on? Should we be on podcast, or should we produce a podcast? What media outlets do we want to be featured in? Where should we stream our videos? Vimeo, YouTube? Should we AWS? Where should our videos be streaming from? I saw somebody ask, they said, should I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, or a YouTube channel? And my head just spun right round, because I was like, those three are so darn different. Those are not the same things. So, just understanding what your strategy is, what you're trying to achieve is going to help inform what channels you pick. So channels are determined by other elements, like the characters, for sure, knowing where people are and what they're interested in, the strategy, so you know what you want to achieve, and the digital footprint, which is going to come next, to find those relevant spaces that are going to kind of match and meet your needs. If you're wondering, should we be doing Snapchat? Well, your characters are going to tell you that. Your strategy is going to tell you that, and your digital footprint is going to tell you that. And then if that becomes one of your channels, then whenever you're launching something, we've got Snapchat, we've got our Facebook group, we've got our blah, 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 whatever, and that you're producing content on all of those channels and that you're pushing out onto all those channels. So outreach is creating and fostering relationships to grow your network and meet strategy objectives. So these are real life connections that give you access to a wider audience. And it's one of the things that people kind of forget or they put on the back burner and they just don't ever get to. And certainly you can have a VA do something like this. You can have an intern do this kind of stuff, but somebody's got to do it. You got to think about it. You got to get it done and don't put it off. Even if you just do it like once every 3 months or something, just do some outreach, make some connections. Okay. So if you want to be a podcast guest, outreach is finding and contacting podcast producers, right? If you're just starting your social accounts, outreach is getting a group of peers who will share your content to give you a boost. Whenever I'm about to go do something, like launch something, I'll tell my friends and I'll just say, hey, if you see something from my channel, can you just like thumbs up it and comment on it? Because I need that little bit of traction, and they'll thumbs up, they'll like, they'll share, whatever. And that just gives me a little bit of an algorithm kick that I really need. So like, ask real people. If you want to co-create content or collaborate with complementary businesses, outreach is finding those people and getting it done. So behind every channel online, there are real life people operating and utilizing them. So building an online presence can be quicker and much more fun with support from other real life people. Content creators especially, they need content. So if you have content, get in touch with content creators. They need cross-promotional stuff. You need the exposure. It's all a win-win. So don't forget that outreach part. Don't forget that PR piece within that online presence. All right. Advertising is paid promotion of your business or products. Believe it or not, real talk, it's the only element in this whole overview that requires money. All others can be DIY'd. Because the nature of ads is exchanging cash or goods for access to more people. So it's not free, but it's the only one that ain't free, baby. So some ad examples: programmatic digital ads, like on your Meta or your AdWords, direct or digital print ads. So that's like if you buy a classified ad in the local paper or whatever. Influencer marketing as a form of advertising, flyers, obviously. I mentioned flyers because that is a real tangible thing, but it usually leads to an online thing, right? Because flyers usually say click our QR code or go online or whatever, right? So before you start advertising, it's recommended that you have some organic success with the goals in the journeys you've set up. So when you start spending on ads, you've confirmed, even on a small scale, that the brand and website are working to attract clients and generate revenue. Okay, so get a little bit of organic success first. Organic means non-paid. So that's just you telling people about it and them coming and buying. Even if you just have that one sale and you're like, okay, I think it looks good, let's hit that gas. I don't typically recommend that you spend money on advertising off the bat, because you're not sure yet if the whole system is flowing. And so once you sort of have a sense that, yeah, it's good to go, and that advertising will increase the amount of people who see it, but we know that those who have seen it have liked it. So increasing the amount of people who see it is a good thing, because there's going to be people within that group who like it too, right? So that's just a little tidbit. And then I would say also with advertising, just, to help out my fellow marketers here, don't expect a lot for a little. All right. Like, people, especially on budgets, they tend to think like, oh, I can spend like $2,000 and get a whole bunch of people in the door, right? People who are having success with ads are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right. So that's not to dissuade you, and because absolutely you could do a little bit of advertising and get some results. I just want to keep your expectations realistic. All right. So anyway, which is why I also say, like, make sure you have some success before you start spending in ads, because once you got to know that thing is working, that pathway, that journey that you have is working, and that people are going through it before you increase the amount of people that go through it. All right. So your digital footprint, the last one here, the quality and quantity of a digital network or digital or web footprint, including all the mentions of your brand and links that lead back to your website or content. So like this would be like if you're mentioned in an ad, like if you're mentioned on the news or something, or, you know, you did like a guest post for something, or maybe it's a directory that your business is featured in. It could be your Google business page. Relevance looks at whether the audience, context, and medium are aligned with your online goals and resources. So when you're thinking about maybe either creating content in a space or setting up like a profile onto something or whatever, you're thinking about how relevant is this thing for me. So like an example would be like maybe like a Yelp business page. Well, Yelp is typically for service-based businesses and restaurants. So if that's not your type of business, Yelp might not be super relevant for you to be on. You know, so just playing with that idea. Do I really need a listing in the yellow pages? Maybe not. If I'm not a plumber, maybe it doesn't really make sense, because people aren't really going to yellow pages. They're going there for specific things, and maybe that's not actually relevant to what I do. So relevancy matters, because if the audience isn't the right match for your target market, it's a waste of time and resources to develop something in that space or pay for advertising, because you're reaching the wrong people. Sometimes the context of the surrounding content doesn't match your brand or goals. So producing something in that space becomes ineffective, and in extreme cases can be damaging to the brand. This happens a lot with SEOers who will like try to populate links for your website all over the internet, but they'll do it in just like the weirdest, randomest places, like aren't related or what have you. So that could end up being damaging for your brand. It could, but relevance could also be that the medium isn't right. Like maybe you want to be on Pinterest, but you're not actually able to produce the right type of content consistently to find growth in that space. So it's kind of like, yeah, we could be on Pinterest, but we're not going to be able to sustain it, and we're not going to be able to keep it going. So because we don't have the resources and we don't have that type of content. So maybe that's not quite the right space for us. Let's find another space that makes more sense for us. Reach is the amount of people who will potentially see what you've created and the amount who did see it. So it's sometimes referred to as impressions or audience on advertising platforms. So relevance is typically more important than reach when deciding an avenue to pursue, because it's better to reach a small amount of people who are relevant to your target market than a lot of people who aren't interested in your product or services at all, right? So you make decisions based on the potential reach of a channel or a campaign. So like, for example, if you're clicking off your campaign parameters and it says, you know, this is going to be you're going to get 100,000 impressions from this, you want to go back and make sure you got that 100,000 impressions, right? And then adjust as needed. Rainbows is about looking for and maximizing what's working well in your marketing and exploring untapped potential. Okay. So rainbows can be anything. It can be an influencer that is just banging it, like that you can really rely on. And, you know, you tell them something and they're like, yep, I'm on it. It could be an article in your blog that is outperforming all the others. I've had this with clients before where I'll do a website audit and I'll see that they have a page, like an article that's doing really well in the search engines. They're getting a ton of traffic from it. And they don't have anything on that article to support their products, their business, their leads. They don't even have like a join our newsletter. And so like the first thing I'll say to them is like, hey, you've got a ton of people coming to this page on your website. Let's put something on there to capture some of that attention. Simple as that. That was a rainbow for them. It could be an ad network that gives better results than the others. Whatever it is, the point is to be familiar with what's working well in your marketing so you can do more of that or make those slight adjustments and improvements to maximize the results, right? And Rainbow's also asked us to occasionally think outside the box to explore untapped opportunities and connections for your business. So it's maybe like thinking of what kind of collaborations can you do with people in your area? Is there some kind of collaboration? Can you sponsor an event? Can you, what are some new and unique ways that you can show up and be part of your community? All right, so your online presence is populating the World Wide Web with intentional connection points so the business and or products get seen by more people. It's taking strategic action to reach your community online. It's connect with people and platforms that can increase your visibility, and it's consciously expand your digital territory into relevant spaces to reach more people. Yes. So these, the brand, the website, and the online presence, and then all of the little elements interweave to create a holistic marketing that attracts clients, generates revenue, and is visible online. Beauty. There she is, the Unicorn's Guide to Marketing. And so if you want to find your next best step, what I do here is I got this. That's me. Look at me. I look nice there. Here we go. So if you want to find out where you are on the map and what your next best step is, so like what element should you be working on, 30 minutes, you and me. Click the link right there. It's unicorn.com, geekunicorn.com/unicorn session. And we're going to talk about your business and your marketing. And I'm going to give you your next best steps to see improvements. Sound good? All right.